Okay. Okay, good morning, Rabbi. Okay, let's see where we're going to go today. We're going to continue on. So reading on through this, I realized, let's see, 1 second. There we go. Now the question that I had before was with the transfer of the Haganai, of the Zoch of the Haganai to the Nook. I didn't really understand that. I mean, it's understandable in its place. And then we come to the question of Chabad Chagtam. So now we really, there's one thing I didn't know, and another thing that in the explanation, he had said that the Mochin, talking about Mochin, that the Mochin of the Haganai had already come in. And so therefore we're only dealing with the Mochin on the top, the Mochin of the Rosh. And that's what's just going on here. So we have actually a difference between so the first thing that I wanted to say was a correction of what I was thinking yesterday. This is, of course, we're dealing with, in terms of Mochin, we're dealing with Katnus right now. We're in a period of Katnus. And as a result of that, the Mochin that you're dealing with and the Mochin of Katnus, which are Chagatnai. So what's missing is the same old, metaphor or same old pattern. Is that we have, their anpin is a vok, and you have the vok. The vok has already come in, it's from Mochin de Katnus. What we're bringing in is the Mochin de Gadlus. And when we go into the Mochin de Gadlus, then he has this explanation where he's talking about Orech versus Ovi. So here we're talking about, we went through that yesterday. In the terms of the Chagatnai, of the Zocher, the Chagatnai, the Nook that we're talking about, that's really talking about the Chasadim. So that was like a fog that's been whirling around in my brain that couldn't allow me to really understand what's going on here. So today we're going to go back we're actually going to be working on the same place that we were yesterday, in the RASHASH on page Shin Mem Ches. We're going to go over this Tamuna and the different parts that he has in it. These things are important because they're actually opening up new vistas, new worlds of understanding of what's going on in the RASHASH and the what he's trying to tell us and the depth of it. Where we left off yesterday was actually on page Shin Mem He. What he's going to do now is he's going to talk about how the Mochin are moving, and the flow. So he says on number Kuf Lam and Aleph down towards the bottom, he says, Shavua Rishon Chachmah of Chabad Chagtam. It's going to be the Chachmah of Chabad Chagtam. Now we learned that Chabad Chagtam refers to Ovi. Now, one of the things that I was thinking just by myself, trying to solve these things that are floating around in my brain as a result of things he said, was what happened to the Nai of the Chabad Chagtam. There's no Nai in there. So that was the part that fits in to where we said that the Keser and the Nai come in at the end. They come in with in Shavuos and fulfills that. So exactly how it is or why we're missing the Nai, I think that's a question I haven't seen it dealt with yet. Exactly why the Nai doesn't come in. Maybe you remember. I don't. But at any rate, that's what's missing. You're missing elements of the Chabad Chagtam. Of that, you're missing the Nai. It should be Chabad Nai Malchus. That's what it should be. But it's not, because we're missing the Nai and we're missing the Keser. Keser, we can understand, comes into the ground at the top. And right now, what we're working on is, we're really working on Katnus, because their Anpin is in Katnus. And just the same metaphor, again, that you're bringing in Gadlus from a higher place, or maybe we'll have a chance later to look at the Tamuna that he has there, the very first one when we say the word Baruch in the Rechovos HaNahar. Maybe we'll be able to get a chance to see that. So he said in the first Refuah, the Chachmah, the Chabad Chagtam. So B'Shvuah Rishon, the Sefirah. Nimshach and Amochin the Spheros Chachmah the Orech. We're going to bring into, now we're looking at the Spheros, and we're looking at the top part of the Spheros. We're talking about the HAOMER, the Spheros of Chachmah the Orech. We're going to bring it in from Chachmah all week long. We're going to be dealing with the Chachmah of Orach. And I'm trying to think of what is the Chachmah of Orach. The Chachmah of Orach is the second Sefirah. It's Kesser is the first Sefirah, and then Chachmah is going to be the second one. If you look at the partzufim side by side, then you see that every one of the partzufim in Ovi has a Chachmah in it. So we're going to be dealing with the Chabad Chagtam, or he has another way of saying it, but it's the Chachmah of Chabad Chagtam. The Kol Shevis Partzufi Chabad Chagtam de Ovi. So his phrase, the way he says it, Nimshachim Amochim, the Sfiras Chachmah de Orach, and the language is the Kol Sheva Partzufim Chabad Chagtam de Ovi. So it's going to be, in each one of these is going to be a Chachmah, and we're going to be sending Shefa into that Chachmah. The parts of Chachmah HaKol the Zon, V'chein the Sfiras Chachmah de Orach, and all of the Chachmah de Orach. And he says this phrase again, the Sheva Partzufim Chabad Chagtam de Ovi. So it's the Orach, in looking at each one of the Chabad Chagtam, they're going to have an Orach, and this is going to go into the Chachmah of each of them. Remembering that we learned before is that they're dealing with Katnas, and Katnas is that we don't let me get myself mixed up here. In Katnas, we already have a solution for the Chagat Nai of the, I guess you would say the Chagat Nai of the Mochin. Yeah, they're already in. What we're missing here is the Kachav. So let's see what the best of he says Kachbad. So the parts of Chabad Chagtam the Ovid, the parts of Bina HaKol the Zon, and it goes the coming from the Bina HaKol the Zon. Now let's see a little bit more about this and try to straighten it out more. He says on the first night, Gadlut Rishon de Yasus. So he says what is coming into Zer Anpin to try to build up his vok in so that it could be a gadol. The parts of a Chachmah to Yasov is going to go to the parts of a Chachmah. And from this you're going to have a Hakavanot what? To spread this down into the Bina and Das and the Chagtam of Ovi. Now let's see how this works. What does he mean like this? He's a Mochin aneknas b'leil Rishon. So the Mochin that come in on the first night, HaMochin the Gadlut Rishon the Yasus. So that's where they're coming from. Now Yasus is a part of Yisrael Savatavuna, which is the lower level, which is the Bina Dika aspect. Shehem haneknas b'leil Rishon the Kol Shavua. These come every single one of the weeks. You're going to have this Chachmah is going to come in first. You're going to come into Chachmah. Let's see how this works. The Lefi Shehem Nimshachim in parts of Yasos. So since they come from the parts of Yasos, Shuchu Chelek HaDachar, which is the male aspect of the Kumas Bina, of the column of Bina, Haklal is the Tzilus. Hem Nimshachim the parts of Bina, the Neshama part, Hakol Gzu. So they're going to go to, because they're coming, as we've heard many times, since the origin address has, let's say certain DNA, it's going to go to the same kind of DNA, the same DNA, a place for it in Zer Anpin. And they spread into the 7 spheres of Chachmah the Orach to call Echad Partzufi Chabad Chagtam the Ovi. Now I have to try to break that out a little bit to understand how you get Chachmah and Bina going at the same time. So he says that since it's coming from Bina, that's the first thing he said, it's going to go into Bina. So it's going to come from Bina of Yasos, in this case Yasos, it's going to be going into the Bina element in Zer Anpin. But which element, the parts of Bina HaKol the Zer Anpin, this is the parts of the Bina Zer Anpin. So this is how this goes. Let's see if I can understand it better. Nimshachin and Mochin the Gadlut Rishon the Yasus. So that's what happened. The parts of a Chachmah the Orach, and it's going to go into the parts of Chachmah of Orach, the parts of a Chachmah the Ovi, and it's going to go from there into the parts of a Chachmah the Ovi. So in other words, the Chabad Chagtam. O Kazecha Yekavin the Hamshir Gam the Partzufi Chachmah the Orach the Partzufi Bina Das V'Chagtam the Ovi. So from there, now this is where I'm getting a little bit mixed up. The Yekavin the Hamshir Gam the Partzufi Chachmah the Orach. So every one of the Chabad Chagtam has an Orach, and in that Orach of the Chachmah, now he said Gam the Partzufi Chachmah the Orach. the partzufi Bina the das v'chagtam the ovi. Not sure I really understand all that yet. Nimsa shetzarik lekavin kam sheva hamshachos. So it comes out like this. You're going to spread this. So I'm a little mixed up about what they have. The Chachmah is the first week is Chachmah. So he says, I'm not sure why the first week is Chachmah. It's coming from Bina of Yasas. It's coming from the Chachmah of Yasas. So confused. So we'll read on. Nimsa shetzarek lekavin kam sheva hamshachos. You have to have the idea 7 times you're going to send these hamshachos. They're called partzuf the ove hamshacha b'fnei atzma. Each one of the 7 different Chabad Chagtam, those partzufim which are also in orech, v'alkein nesadru kam sheva hamshachos. So therefore, when we look at the Tamuna, we're going to see that there are actually 7 different streams coming through. Now he says, say the hamshachas amochim b'kol makom. So the order in this in every case, and so we could do this throughout the entire 49 days. Kolel chamesh bechinos. It has within it 5 bechinos. So we'll see this in the drawing. I think this was clearer to me that when he says that we're coming into the Chachmah. The Chachmah. I really can't see where the Bina is, so that's my problem. So we'll see if I can figure it out. Hamisha bechinas oros mochim slomim levushim kalim. So there are 5 different levels of how this light works. That is the hamshach of v'nasach bechem siman, which we've heard before, which is the frame cold summer kalim levushim slomim mochim and oros. That's going actually from the bottom to the top, or from the outside in. So a little review for ourselves is that beginning, there's a hamshacha of the lights. So there are havayas and ekya menukados, called sefira b'nikud shalo. Every sefira is going to have its own nikud, and we'll see that. So the havaya itself always refers to the or panimi. The shemas ekya heba b'chinas or makif. So I had to kind of think about that, because since we first saw it, I always thought that the panimi, which is the havaya, is stronger than the ekya, because here we have ekya in other places is a lavush. So over here, though, we're talking really about ima going inside of zeranpin, which is represented, I think, that's what I think it is represented by the havaya, which is the panimi, which is actually going into zeranpin. But he's saying also that the akya part is too strong to go into zeranpin, and it remains as a makif. So I think that's how I would explain it to myself, why it is that the chavaya is below or inside of the akya, which must remain on the outside. So these lights are inside of Mochin. Shehem shemas b'milui. These are names in a milui form. Mishtanem shemas levi b'chidas Mochin and mishachim. So the names his names are changed according to the Mochin that come into them. Im kadnas or gadlos, whether or not you're going to be dealing with a Mochin v'kadnas, a Mochin the gadlos, Rishon or Sheni. There's Rishon and Sheni, the kadnas and gadlos both. For ha'oras and Mochin yachdad, so the lights and the Mochin together. Mislavshin betzlamim v'levushim. They are clothed inside of another set of lights, which is called slamim and levushim. Now here he puts them together. Hatzlamim and asim mechamochim. He says why? Because the tzlamim are made out of the mochim, the parts of the elyon. So I'm not sure. He's not giving me tell me how that works. So I'm not sure how it works. But he says that's what it's made out of. So think about this. What of the slamim comes from something up above it. So then the slam and levushim, the asib kalim, deny the parts of the elyon. It's made out of the kalim. So one is made out of the light of the. Let's read again. Slamim the asim mochin, the parts of the elyon. The slamim are made out of the mochin. Which part of it? Which part of the mochin? But I guess it would be the lower part of the mochin, whatever that means. The parts of the elyon, the levushim though, are na'asim mechakelim, they're made out of deny the parts of the elyon, of the very lowest part of the parts of the elyon, which, okay, needs more explanation for me, but that's a little bit like what it's like. Let's go a little bit over here. So he says, B'milui, Kav Yamim is small, Ekya, the Kasa. So the right line is going to be Ekya and Kasa. And he shows you what Ekya looks like. And then he says, the Ekya de Kasa, I read it wrong. And here is the Ekya de Kasa, which is the Gematria 161. Kavim Soy, so that would be the Kavim Soy, Hachasad de Das, Ekya de Kamag. And he shows us the Ekya de Kamag, which is 143. Valgavur the Das is the Ekya de Kone. So as we go through these, you would see this. I don't think we're going to go through all of those to see them, but we'll see. So this looks like this, which comes up to the Gematria of 151. The Kevin the Shemus Halavushim Vaslomim Shavim. So since the Kalim, I'm not seeing how he's getting this, the names are the same. Let me read it again. The Kevin the Shemus Halavushim Vaslomim Shavim. Their names are equivalent. So therefore we think of the Slomim and the Levushim together. Let me see if I got this. The Shemus of Levushim but Slomim Shavim. So I'm not sure why they're. Oh, we're going to see it that they're the same. In other words, in the Tamuna they're going to be the same. So the kach for this from the Gavanim Osam Ke'echad. So that we consider them like Vavalo Koflim a Gavana, so we don't double the Gavana. Now we'll see that in a minute when we look at the Tamuna. Call Arba Bechinas and Iskarim, so all the four levels that we're talking about, Shehem Oros, Mochim, Slomim, and Levushim, Mispashtim Yachdav, Kashehem Beluvashim Zebasoch Zeh. So they're going as a group. What's the right way? One cup inside of another, kind of like that. They're all going into one place. Besocha Kalim is their anpin, or the nook into the Kalim is their anpin, or into the nook, or maybe and into the nook. And Beguvanim as Shemus a Kalim to call Sefira. So we have a Kavana on the names of the Kalim of every Sefira. Kavi Shenizboyer Be'etz Chaim is explained over there. And this is the order, this cold summer that we're talking about, is the order that we were talking about. We're moving the Mochin and the oros that are in them. They're going through these levushim, the hamshech as oros limshkol b'socha Mochin, in order to spread these down. They're spread into the Mochin. Shnechem yachtav yispashta b'socha levushim, and both of them together spread into the levushim with Slomim. So we're saying the Slomim and the levushim are together. V'kulam yachtav yimshachol b'socha Kalim, and all of them together going into the Kalim. So you had this whole panoply of lights, one inside the next. The most powerful one would be the Nerantchi, which are the Oros. And what does it mean by powerful? It means that it's more connected to the nothingness of the Ein Sof. Now, so we need to cut that down. Now, on page Shimon Ches, which is where we're at now, we're going to take a look at this a little bit and just read, we're just looking at it. You have Chachmah, the top of it says Chachmah de Chachmah, Chachmah de Das, Chachmah de Bina. If we turn some other pages, let's see where they would be. Turn some pages here. You get the Chachmah de Chesed, Chachmah de Teferes, Chachmah de Gevura, and if I turn the page over, it gives us to Chachmah de Malchus on page Shin Nun Vav. So that's what it takes in order to do it, because he's going to give explanations of them all. Looking at the Oros, so we see here number Kuf Lamed Gimel without reading over on the other side, which we're going to do. But just give us, and we also have some notes in the Shef of RASHASH on this. You see 1, 2, 3, 4 sets of Ekyas and Avayas going together in each one of these. All of them menukad with a patach. So they are in fact Chachmah de Chachmah. Moving over to the left side would be Chachmah de Bina, and in the middle would be Chachmah de Das. So these are the Mochin that are coming now. So he says, look at number Kuf Lamed Daled. This is actually, excuse me, those are the oros. I'm sorry. This is the moach. So the moach here is yud k vav k, like that. That's the moach. This is the moach of av. So he says, and that's coming in. And then you have the next thing is the tzelem. Now the tzelem is an ekia. Is the ekia and milui, since we're dealing with, I guess, the right side, we're dealing with Chachmah. Chachmah the das. So therefore, we would be dealing with the highest level, which would be the Av and the Kasa, Av Kasa. So each one of these is going to be an Ekia Milui Yudin, and it's going to be called the Tzelem. In the run-up to this, he said that the Tzelem is the same thing as the Levush. In other words, if you put the Levush in here, you would have also a duplicate. They're exactly the same. So that's what he said. Maybe was not understandable 100% there. It would be also an Ekia and a Milui of Yudin, same thing. So he says, therefore, the RASHASH didn't put it in. So he left it out because it's going to be a duplicate. Now, to read this or to look at it by itself, if you didn't know that he wanted to be, he didn't want to write a duplicate, which I'm not sure why he wouldn't want to write it, but he didn't want to write it. But that's the understanding. So then after that, without getting into the explanation of all of these things, we're going down a little bit further down. You see that it goes to the it goes into the kalim. So these are the kalim to zer anpin. So from the kalim to zer anpin, and this is what they look like. The first one is they're kind of a little bit different. Okay, so we went through these when we were learning the Eitz Chaim. We used to go through them. I'm not sure what the significance is other than to look at it, and that's what it is. So then from there, it goes to the Shlosha Kli Chachmah de Yaakov Rachel, which is Malchus, and this whole page shows all of that. That's what it shows. So let's see how we're doing time-wise here. Okay, well, so we'll get as much done as we can, and I know that now we're starting to run out of time, so we haven't finished the 12th drush. But for me, it's very important to sort out what's going on with the Chabad Chagtam and to see how the flow of these Mochin. So in the case of Chabad Chagtam, we're talking about the flow of the Mochin. Let's look at number Kuf Lamed Gimel, or let's look instead at number Kaf Hey. I guess maybe I could do that, where he says Chachmah the Chachmah, and then he goes on from there. If you look up there, it says number Kaf Hey. So he says in the Shefa of RASHASH, he says, and I could have done this differently, but I'm just winging it a little bit. He says the Chachmah, B'sidr HaNidvas, he says, in the way that was it was originally published by the RASHASH, Sidru es Hashemas the Naranchi, he ordered the names of the Naranchi Amuchim v'Chatzlomim v'Chakelim Rak Pam Achas. He only has this one time. He doesn't have a Chachmah, a Bina, and a Das, etc. He doesn't have that. Because, once again, I guess, as he was writing it or doing it, his inner circle understood what it was all about. He only needed to do it once, because the rest are duplicates. So he said, so you have to also think about all the 7 different places of the Chagtam, the called partzuf the Ovi Hamshacha La'atzma. So you really need to see that each one of the Chabad Chagtam needs its own Hamshacha. So we, though, in the Rechovos Anar, we've done it like this, where you have 7 different times the called partzuf the Ovi Hamshacha b'knei atzma. Each one of them gets his own Hamshacha. So we know from learning with Rabbi Mimran that all these things are not always complete. And it could be just for the sake of that the RASHASH was just moving quickly, and his inner circle understood what was going on. It was always like that, and then they published it that way. But for us, it brought it down further into the Rechovos Nahar, so that you have all 7. So they know that the 7th Hamshacha, which is Chachmah de Malchus, HAOMER Hakavanot, which we talk about here. Hakavanot the Chachmah the Erech the partzuf Malchus. So this is the Hakavanot here. That look at the parts of the Malchus as 10 SEFIRAT. The parts of the Malchus, the Ovi, the Zer Anpin, and that is of the Malchus of the Chabad Chagtam. Shaharech and Asim Kam Hamshacha the Chachmas the Orech. So here he says that you're bringing in Hamshacha to the Chachmas of Orech, the Chabad Chagtam the Ovi. Ve'ein a Kavanah the parts of Malchus Aklali. It's not a Kavanah for that. It's funny for not for Malchus. We're not bringing it down to Malchus. That's what we're talking about. It's going to the Malchus of the Chabad Chagtam. Haklali the Tzilus Nuk the Zer Anpin. It's not for that. Next one, he says number Kaf Vav, and this is just a little background, and we could go back. Mirz Hashem, we'll get a chance to do this more. And in the meantime, I'll figure out which I understood, but I forgot it. How it is the relationship between. We're working in the first week with Chachmah. We're building up Chachmah. But the Chachmah that we're building up, this is my confusion, is coming from Bina. Or coming from, the Bina is coming from Yisrael Sava, or Yisrael Sava Tavuna, if in whatever case. So I'm not sure that I really understand that yet, so I got to get clear, and I'll work on it, God willing. So why is it the Naranchi is Menukad? I think that's what he says. Oh, that's what he's saying. He said, I counted it up when we first saw it. If you see the Oros here, you're going to see there's only 4 sets. Why 4 sets? Why not 7 sets? Why not 3 sets or 1 set? So he says, so this is for us to be able to look at this in the RASHASH Siddur or in the Atiyah Siddur, that we could know what he's talking about. Why is it 4? So he said, Hu Lefishin is bar bedrasha das. Whereas that the kol bechinas hamochim, when you're dealing with mochim, hanimshach and zer anpin, all of them call echad arba bechinas mochim. So every one of the mochin is going to have 4 parts to it. The 4 parts are going to be the Chabad, Chachmah, Bina, Chasad the das, and Gevuras the das. Behind the kol bechinas mochin the atzman, hema mochin the abba. So all of the mochin here are the mochin the abba. Hein mochin the abba, whether we're talking the mochin they're coming from abba, hein the ima, or whether they're coming from ima, hein the yasos, or whether they're coming from yasos, hein the tevuna, or they're coming from there. Kol bechinas kolelas, kol ha'arba bechinas and iskaro. So all of them are going to have within them all of the other 4 bechinos. So therefore, in the Siddur, and that's the reason why you should understand that when we're dealing with the Chachmah of Chachmah, we're actually dealing with 4 sets of oros that corresponds to the 4 types of mochin that's going to go into. That every one of them has 4. Here's the last one in this series, and then we're going to go back and analyze and just listen to the language of the Tiv as he explains this. Chachmah de das, he says the Chachmah de das. Yesh the ayin, that's number Kaf Zayin over here. What's about Chachmah de das? Yesh the ayin ma'adura b'seder hamshachas hamochim lo chilkuch es moach hadas l'shnayim. Why did he only has 1 das? So das is always, as the Gon said, is always splits. So why is it there's no split here? Echad, so he said, das l'shnayim. Echad the chesadim ve'echad the gevuras. 1 would be for chesadim, 1 for gevuras. El the sidrach hashemos rak pam achas, but he only has 1 set of oros here, and all the rest, the mochin and the tzelem and the levush, etc., etc. And he's saying that tzelem and levush go together, and then also the shlosh kli. So why is it only 1 time? So what's the difference between this and all the rest of the hamshachas in the world? Where we always has das twice. So now the Shem and Salsam comes, so that's a question. So that's the question that everybody has. So he said, Hashem and Sasan comes along, and the Pesach Anayim, and he says, Kasav, the Ein Deinochanami, Tzarak Lakavin Kafel. So really, you have to really think about it like that in fact it is double. It should be two of them. And actually on the 10th day, I just saw it. I didn't really get into it. It does show it is doubled, but I'm not sure why. Everything is doubled over there, but I'm not sure why. So he said, they nochanami tzarek l'kavin kafel v'chasidurim kitzro pezeh v'samko al hama'ayim, and they really relied on the person who would investigate this more deeply, which is what we're trying to do, and trying to understand why these forms appear like they do. So now, in the time that we have left here, let's see if we can go through some of these numbers that he has in the top. Try to help us out. Kuf Lamed Gimel. On number Kuf Lamed Gimel, going over to the other side, he says it is a Havaya, two Havaya, it's an Eki and Havaya, Menukad with the Patach. Shemus Havaya v'ha'Ekia, HaMenukad v'Patach. Okay, I guess we know this, so we can listen to it anyway because it's worth listening to. Ha'oras Narantchi, Havayaki bebechinas or penimi, va'ekia hu bechinas or makif. Number Kuf Lamed Daled, let's find that one. Kuf Lamed Daled is the Moach. So he says, what is the Moach? The vision, the Moach is like this. Yikaven lahamshich es ha'oras and iskarim shehem shemas havaya ve'ekia menukados. She is lavish b'soch a mochin, that they should be clothed inside the mochin. This is what this is a clothing diagram where the top part is the inside part, and the bottom part is the most outside part. And so this is the time that the mochim are being mispashet in each one of the Chabad Chagtam in Orech to that Chachmah there. The Chachmah is on the right line. Azai Shemus Amochin the Gadlus Havaya the Av, they're going to be Havayas the Av, Shuhu Shem Hashem the Kav Yamim. So we're going to be moving down that line. Let's look at number Kuf Lamed Hey. Kuf Lamed Hey is the Tzalim. What's Pshat in the Tzalim? So he says Yikaven Lahamshech Hamochim im Ha'or Shabbatochem. So this is the Mochim. You bring in the Mochim. But the Mochin have something inside of them, which is the Oros. She is lavish b'soch halavushim v'chatzlomim. They should go into the two. V'hem shnei, and we saw in the Shefa that it should be two there, but they didn't put it in. Again, is it because a practical reason that they just didn't have that much space? They couldn't fit it into the printing press in some way, or is there another reason why he leaves things out? But at any rate, he does. He's economical, that's for sure. So these are two different kinds of levushim that are coming from the parts of Elyon. Malvishim as a mochem malvushim, and they incorporate these mochim. So they're all going in the spheres of Chachmah de Orech. The Chachmah he bekav yamin, the Chachmah is on the right line. So he says, Azai, therefore, Shemas asalomim v'alavushim. Hem eki b'milu ikasa, shuhu milu de kav yamim. So that would explain that. Now let's go to number Kuf Lamed Vav. What we have here, still have another couple of minutes. Let me see if I can find Kuf Lamed Hey. Where's Kuf Lamed Vav? There it is. Oh, there it is. It's going to the Chachan, the Chachmah. Now, what does Chachan the Chachmah mean? And so he comes over here to tell us. He says, Kuf Lamed Vav. He says, Chachmah the Chacham, the right side of Chachmah. The Kabin the Hamshech as a Mochem Halalo. She yakonsa v'yispashta b'kelin the spheres of Chachmah the Orech, that they're going into the Chachmah of Orech. So you're looking at Chachmah is the second sphere down. The call Echad b'partzufi Chabad Chagtam the Ovi. And they're going to go sideways into the Chachmah of every one of the Chabad Chagtam of Ovi. So let's look at, again, the Chabad Chagtam, each one of them, is going to be 10 spheros in it. And you're going to go specifically into the Chachmah of that sphere, of that. The parts of Bina, HaKol the parts of Bina, the Kol of the Zah. Now this is the part that I'm still trying to understand. there is a partzuf of Bina, which has apparently within it, according to this language, Chabad Chagtam. Chachmah has a Chabad Chagtam, and Bina has a Chabad Chagtam. I think I'm still working on understanding where the Bina, what the Bina is.
Okay,
that's it. We're out. Out of time. Okay, let's go. Okay.